Hi, hello, and a very warm welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to reveal top tips on how to avoid fraudulent suppliers. That is, top tips on how to avoid fraudulent suppliers. Now, doing business with suppliers who you might not ever meet poses some risks. While most suppliers are legitimate businesses, there are always some who are there to exploit unsuspecting customers. Unfortunately, e-commerce scams or fraudulent behavior are very common, but there are steps that you can take to protect yourself. So I'm going to give you top tips on how to avoid that sort of suppliers who want to scam you. Here are some warning signs. Be aware of the following warning signs that I'm going to share with you of potential scams and fraudulent companies when you're dealing with suppliers. Now, while this may not be a definitive deal breaker, they warrant that you make a thorough investigation of the supplier before you get involved with him or her. The first warning sign is no phone number. If the supplier doesn't list a phone number on their website, I wouldn't do business with them, and I don't recommend that you do either. This is a big red flag. The second warning sign is if the supplier doesn't accept credit card or checks. If they want wire transfers, just say no. Now, while some legitimate suppliers do only take wire transfers, they are few and far between and highly risky. It's best to avoid them. Stay away from a supplier who doesn't accept credit card or checks. Stay away from a supplier who doesn't have a phone number. Another warning sign is no address on their website. All real suppliers will list their address on their website. If there is no address, don't bother with them at all. The next warning sign that you should look out for is not listed on the Better Business Bureau. That is the US-based companies only, okay? When you're dealing with US-based companies and they're not listed on the Better Business Bureau, then think again. If they are based in the United States and they are not listed on the Better Business Bureau, that is BBB's website, then that can be a bit of a red flag. It doesn't always signify that a supplier is a scammer. It's just another piece of evidence to consider. The next red flag is selling to the public at wholesale prices. Some retailers advertise their prices as wholesale prices, but really they're just retail prices. They use the word wholesale as a simple sales gimmick to make people feel like they're getting a better deal. So when you come across a seller who is selling at wholesale prices, then think again. Having said that, I'm going to now share with you some things that are not necessarily a warning sign. They are not necessarily a red flag. The first one is charging a monthly fee. While it's not common, there are some legitimate suppliers that will charge you a monthly admin or management fee. Just because you see a monthly fee, it does not necessarily mean the supplier is a scammer, especially if all the other evidence suggests that they are legit. Take a look at the other signs and see if it all adds up. Another one is a poorly designed website. If a supplier's website looks terrible, like it's from the 90s, you might think this is a good sign that a supplier is not legitimate, but that's not actually the case. A great many fantastic suppliers are really, truly, they have really, truly terrible. They really are truly terrible at marketing and web design. Often it's because they don't need a great website to do business. They have established relationships and other marketing channels. So if you're thinking of ditching a supplier because their website is a time capsule to the 90s, think again. Now, here is how to tell if a supplier is legitimate. Okay, I have shared with you some warning signs that are red flags that a supplier could be a scammer. I have shared with you some tips on, that may appear as red flags, but they're not really red flags. And now I'm going to tell you how to figure out if a supplier is legitimate. Now that you know what to watch out for, I'm now going to share you some practical steps to take that you could take to check if a supplier is legitimate or a fraud. Some really practical steps that you personally can actually carry out to check if a supplier is legitimate or a fraud. The first one is check how old their website is. A really new website either means the company is brand new or it's a fraud. Be wary of young websites. Now, don't rule them out entirely, but make sure they stand up to the other checks that I've already talked about. To look up the age of a website, all you have to do is type into the domain age checker tool. The second thing that you can do to tell if a supplier is legitimate is search their company name, then rip off or scam in Google. Okay, so search their company name, type it on Google, and add the words rip off or scam. Many people will post online when they are scammed by a company. So to find these kind of posts, just type in the name of your supplier followed by rip-off or fraud or scam and see what comes up. The next tip is contact the supplier, okay? If you want to tell if a supplier is legitimate, contact him or her. Calling a supplier is one of the quickest and surest ways to determine their legitimacy. If they don't answer during business hours or you get an automated message, that doesn't sound right. Or you get someone who just sounds fishy, proceed with caution, I would say. The other thing that you can use to tell if a supplier is legitimate is, verifying their address. Just go to Google Street View, okay? Just go to Google Street View and look up their address. Is it a vacant parking lot? Can you see their logo or business name on the building? If not, ask them about it. They may have a legitimate reason, but it could be a red flag. Another way through which you can tell if a supplier is legitimate is by getting suppliers from supplier directories. Use a trusted supplier directory. Use a trusted supplier directory like Sale Who to source your suppliers. Okay, you can use a trusted supplier directory like Sale Who to source your suppliers. Sale Who has vetted and verified more than 8,000 suppliers around the world. So by working with one of these suppliers, you remove the guesswork and significantly reduce the risk of going it alone. So those are the top tips that I would give you on how to avoid being scammed by suppliers. Remember, if you think there's something fishy about it, I have given you so many tips that you can use to cross-check whether really the supplier is trying to scam you or not. Now, so there you go. If you found this video helpful at all, if you found the tips helpful at all, insightful at all, please give the video a thumbs up, share the video with somebody else so that you can also help them, and subscribe to the channel and turn your notification bell on so that you know when I upload another video. And while you're there, have a look at the rest of the videos in my channel, and I guarantee you that you will find a video that is going to take your business to the next level. Now, thank you very much, and I shall see you in our next video. Bye bye.